Hello, Starseeds, and welcome to the Truth, Beauty, Freedom, and Love podcast. I'm here today with two very special guests, my husband Kevin, and Lubo, who is the cosmic creator of the Forest, and talks about very epic themes behind storytelling and the importance of telling stories and the idea of movie magic and magic in general. So we're going to get into all of these things today in this awesome conversation.
My name is Kevin. We're here to feature Lubo and his film project. I met Lubo, I think, at least 5 years ago now. I originally saw your work just online. I originally watched In Shadow and was blown away by it. I knew immediately that we related in some way, and I was like, this guy has seen my DMT visions, my psychedelic trips. Has been sort of manifested in this film, this short film. And I was like, wow, I have to reach out to this person. And I got in touch with you, I think through Instagram. And because I saw that you reside in Toronto, and I do as well. I'm like, hey, we have to somehow see if we can meet up, because there's too much synchronicity. And we met, and yeah, definitely we're just as cool as in person as I thought, based on the art that you had shown. So yeah.
Yeah, and it just so happened that we live 10 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
So
it was totally synchronistic.
And my name is Lubomir Arsov. I'm an artist, storyteller. I work in animation. I write, direct. I do all kinds of other things in animation, and I enjoy the visual medium of storytelling and the way that we can manipulate it and create it and craft it in animation. That's my passion. Yeah, it started with comic books, so that was my first interest because it's even just the smell of the pages. But it was something about the comic books when I was younger, and they were much more readily available, and the stories were quite fantastical stuff you wouldn't see in animation. Animation is limited in terms of, or was limited because it's expensive to make, and there was only so much in Saturday morning cartoons, and comic books went into matters and topics that were way out there, like Warren Ellis or Alan Moore, and a lot of that stuff is just so juicy and subversive.
Comic books are most like hieroglyphics because it's visual, and you're also saying something. So this is a very unique medium by which to tell a story. I'm going to throw the question to people first. What story influenced you as a child, which continues to influence you?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the Grimm Brothers fairy tales influenced me in different ways, but I think movie-wise, I would say it would be The Goonies. It's probably a lot of our people around our age feel that way, because they're just a combination of adventure, of discovery, of mystery, friendship, coming together. Yeah, coming together, and there was a great satisfaction in that coming together with everyone's various skills and just being at the edge of your comfort, where you're entering this adult world where things matter much more because there's death. There's, you encounter, there's skeletons and booby traps and criminals. And
do you have a favorite
scene? The favorite scene, I would probably have to watch it again, but I'll just go with whatever pops up right now. And it's something about the wonder of the end when the kids have achieved everything. There's quite an ecstatic moment of rapture, and the parents come, and the parents have this weird sense of awe at their children as this ship, the treasure, just appears, and it kind of ties everything together. It's just it's almost like the magical realm enters the mundane realm, the sacred enters the mundane, and for me that was it brought the movie together. It was quite profound. Yeah.
Okay, now good luck.
Good luck. It'd have to be between Star Wars and Back to the Future. But yeah, let's go with Back to the Future, actually.
It's time travel. And right, there's a time travel. The timeline.
Yes, it just has to do with like I think the freedom of like, and I think those were why I was gonna say Star Wars too. Is like just the discovery of like the Force and like what that meant, breaking the traditional laws of the universe that everyone else is trapped in some way, and like what does that mean? And Back to the Future, just like having the ability to travel through it to a different timeline and try to change something that happened in the past, and like finding out that like there's this inevitability of certain things that happen, and that's part of I guess the character arc is like just having to realize that no matter what, you have to play some role of being disempowered in this experience, and like that's the journey, is like the disempowering experience, and like the plot device that does come in, and if you pay attention you might notice it, but it's a plot device in every story that can lift off. Like you said, there's just like even in the Goonies there was that catharsis moment, and it feels as if the divine has like penetrated the mundane realm, and it has different forms, right? And science fiction is one form because you see something that's like magical in a way that's science, but I think magic, even like I said, Star Wars and the Force and levitation and telekinesis. And
What is the Force?
It has to do with I think like the quantum field and our ability to let go of our attachments to the dense idea of what we conceive this realm to be, and have a little more play with it. But that takes a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I tried experimenting with that and it does take a lot. So
Well, I think bringing it around to like bringing the magical into it and having people like when you do movie magic, there's this section of this movie I read a quote once and they're like, what sense movies are true magic, because in the gap, like in the cut, that's where the magic happens. You scene together and you do a fight scene, a punch here and like sort of you fill in the gaps yourself. You can do a lot of animation to show things that you can't necessarily in like real actors. And when I was a kid, for a very long time, I didn't like watching animated. What animations have you seen in terms of inspiration that have inspired your work?
What animations? Yeah, good question. Well, of course, I'll throw in Disney, classical Disney stuff. Yeah, and then there's some of the other stuff. I mean, Asterix, actually, the animation was it from the 90s? Some of the French stuff. Of course, Miyazaki stuff, and some of the classical 90s anime, which we were speaking about earlier, and something about the craftsmanship in the mid 80s to 90s anime was like just so, there's just a lot of grit and dynamism, and the way that some of these directors emblemize reality, the way they would create slow motion while adding speed lines in the back to create an intensity within a very slow moment was super intense and incredible. I feel like I'm forgetting some pivotal things, but I'll just say Pinocchio is as a story and as an animation. So yeah, and I would say before that I was introduced to the Italian story as it is, which is darker. But ultimately, yes, the Disney version, I'll just say something about that either resonated with what was already imprinted in my soul, or it foundationally altered me, because I used to really obsess over that story. And, by now, a lot of us know with Peterson and many other people, like breaking down some of these myths, is that just the story of the soul, of a puppet cutting its strings, gradually becoming a real human being, going through the vices, the many pathways that move us away from attuning to what is real and what our soul's purpose is, and attuning to the divine. And I just actually, The Forest King is a reverse of that, because it's a horror film. It's actually, I haven't mentioned that to you guys before, but it's a reverse. It is I'm not going to give it away fully, but it's
watch it.
Yeah, watch it. Enjoy it. And so yeah, Pinocchio I think was quite foundational.
So is there a comic book or a superhero that inspired you at all?
I loved all of the superheroes. Mainly when I was a kid, I had Spawn a lot. Spawn was one of the heroes. I don't know what it was. I
Like,
was
he watched movies, you know, as a kid. He would like ask his father-in-law, like, he would let a 9-year-old watch like The Angler or like these crazy horror films or like.
it prepared me for a lot in life.
But so you're also Spawn.
Yeah, the Spawn was like one of the cool ones. I thought I just liked that. Like I liked badasses. I don't know what it is. I just liked people who had an edge. Yeah, but he was still like playing like a hero archetype, you could say. So it was just being able to dance the darkness and also being able to conquer the demons in the story. Is just I thought that was a cool character to be able to juggle that, you know, both of those sides.
So you were comic book wise with comics.
I actually also write Spawn.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have like number 1 all
Oh,
the
there
way
you
to
go.
like
Oh, it's so funny.
yeah, it's like 50 or something.
Oh man.
And
Seriously?
yeah. So my taste when I was a teenager in comics was not very sophisticated, but I really enjoyed the art of a lot of the Image guys. I love Joe Madureira. Well, I don't know if anyone would recognize these things, but Battle Chasers I read, and then later I started getting into Hellboy when I was in animation. A lot of the graphic novels. I had a very good friend who introduced me to a lot of the indie comics, and he'd give me things like Jimmy. Yeah. And also a lot of the Vertigo comics, and those really added sophistication to my palette. So Mauro was my friend who gave me all this stuff, and it was really that's when the trade paperback started coming up.
Yeah. A lot of my comic books.
Yeah, I was borrowing them, so I did have to give them back. But it was a gift. It was a gift. It was literally someone handing me this whole other universe that I could explore. So yeah, that's where kind of forget the Invisibles, a lot of the Vertigo titles. You know, I had mentioned Garth Ennis earlier, and I reading Watchmen in my first year in animation. I remember skipping a day of school because I was on my second day of reading, going through it, and I was like, I'm obsessed.
You're
I'm
hooked,
going
yeah.
to read this.
If you were to tell a story to your inner child now about what the world is like now, what would you tell them?
Okay.
What
I would say-
how it's different.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of our favorite children, there's a show called The Magicians.
Yeah. I've read the first novel
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a concept of a shade right there, and like that inner child that will lose along the way from living in this existence. But you need to reintegrate with your inner, like that part of you that believes that dragons are real, that
Yeah.
magic is real. And so, what would you say to your inner child, the way the book is, and how perhaps, because this is what comes off the book, how do we bring magic back into the realm, for real? So it takes a child's imagination, so how do you tell a story to a child?
Yeah. I feel like I would probably simplify it and make it quite innocent and say something like, at one point, all these beings were given the chance to experience life in a certain material existence on this planet with much bounty and wonder and its own laws. And all these beings had a spark of something bigger, of the all. But gradually that spark, because of the cycles of this world and its beings, was forgotten. And in fact, some beings were so enamored by this experience that they forgot where they come from, and they started to just hoard and control the experience based on the limitations that they had. And they got so addicted to it that gradually everyone forgot it. And we're in this time now where everyone's forgetfulness and addiction is turning to this dark cloud and this dark being, which seems to now be actually taking over people and leading them into something that's much farther away from the sort of like the magnificence of the experience of being one who knows themselves. And here we are experiencing a lot of beings who are remembering the spark and are bringing the spark despite this dark cloud's momentum of being a dark blanket of forgetfulness. And there's a great beauty and a great courage and great fear, and all of it is this fascinating story of the emergence and remembering, and also not only remembering, I think bringing in new things that we've never even experienced on this on this journey. So it's a moment of heroic claiming of our spark
Yeah.
and beaming it and magnifying it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
if you could speak to little Kevin
Mhm.
and tell that little Kevin, I spoke to little Kevin actually. I told little Kevin things are really hallway.
Oh yeah.
And they don't worry so much, things will work out. But what would you tell little Kevin in terms of what would you say to little Kevin so that now you think both?
It would mainly be to not waste time because it's all you have to work with, and don't get pulled by your lower desires. That's mainly, I would say,
Not to be pulled
by your lower, yeah. Instead being pulled by your highest.
Her question, like, when it comes to art and creativity and what that means going forward, how do you, if you could like have a pie in the sky idea and creativity range, there's a new way by which we are all one creativity. What does that look like?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, that's a hard question.
Okay.
Yeah. Because remember, like you told me, it's really tricky, right? Because you have to take final shot.
Yeah.
Oh, look,
Yeah.
it's utopic. There's no sickness. There's no that's so problematic, right? Because there's no room for the cycle.
Well, this is what I think that the AI art is subverting, is the possibility of us having, you can call it like telepathy, but being able to have a shared, like this VR does this, right? We can be sharing a vision and being in a completely different world, and that world can have, like if you made the game that we're playing, it could be all the rules you want of the game. So it could be like, look the way you want it to look. We could be at the place you want to be. So you can show me your paradise, right? But there's still like a shadow of that right now. So I feel like the closest thing we have to that is these psychedelic renaissances of like people who are aligned and can handle sacraments and have done the inner work beforehand so they can handle the sacraments, to do that and find each other and start to do it together. Because I feel like out of those moments will come novel visions, and then novel visions will be confirmed by people who share them, because you'll validate you, and you won't feel so crazy. It's like, I saw that too, right? And then 2 people, then 3 people, then 4. The more people that see the same thing, it's a shared hallucination. And so if we can navigate the hallucination to being a hallucination that we all prefer, even at an individual level, yours, if you're my friend, a lot of your reality I would probably prefer. That's how you're my friend. So naturally we resonate on many things, right? It's not going to be everything that we like the same. Certain flavors of ice cream you might like different than me. Your inner world, like the art that you like, I feel represents the inner world that you have. And the art that you create represents the inner world that you have. So the more that we as artists find our mediums, I guess is the challenge I'm having, is trying to find a medium that like allows me to show people more of what I've been able to perceive. People need to be shown. They don't always want to be told, I feel, right? So that's just like how I met you. Like I saw your work, and like you didn't have to have a speech like politicians do. Like we should let politicians make art and then go from there, right? But now you can't even trust it because it'll all be AI freaking art. Or they'll have ghost writing art, the way they have ghost writers for their book. So they'll have ghost artists. So as I think we as individuals just get better discerning with who we let in, what energies we let in, And it hurts because you have to say no to many things, and it's a lonely journey walking that path for a little bit, but it's the necessary hermit stage in order to reclaim clarity.
Yeah.
I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts sometimes. Like,
yeah, a lot of interesting points there. Totally. Yeah, I mean that's like it's the question, right? Of questions, and it's an interesting one. Yeah, and I think we need to be considering and speaking about it all the time and reminding ourselves, and we forget all these things. But for me, I would say it's it's a cliche now, but it's a very deep topic, and that's like changing the story. What story are we telling ourselves, and what are the micro subplots that we're telling ourselves? Or what stories are running through us that we're not telling ourselves? We didn't realize we're being told, that we're reliving. Yeah. And one of the main stories, actually, it's the backbone of everything, is why am I here? Not even why we are here. First, why am I here? And then that's the target. That's what magnetizes us. And from there, we start clearing away what is not the reason that I am here. So what are all the strings, the puppet strings that are doing different things that I'm allowing, and I'm always responsible for everything, every second that I perceive, right? Yes, someone can do something to me, but I'm always responsible for my reaction, my frame of it, and how I move forward every other second. So that's where the video game aspect kicks in. And so it's a matter of two things, and this is maybe a little abstract, and I'll give it some more flavor. But one is the aspirational, so I'll call it the spiritual, and of course that has its many layers, and that is what am I becoming? What am I already that is being unveiled and revealed from the false, the crust of culture, the crust of empire, the crust of heritage, the crust of my genetics, all of these things. So what is not real? And then basically that is the two things. One is the unveiling of the false and the unraveling, and the other is the constantly staying at the aspirational, the devotional, and allowing that light to come in more and more strongly. And because if we only go into trauma, into the not enoughness, into the breaking patterns, then we kind of get stuck in that game. And it's a fun, interesting game. It's also a frustrating game, but that's a game that just remains there. If we only look into the sky like Icarus and, just hope for the best, we can spiritually bypass, we can go into flights of fancy, and we can, just overdo that. So a fine balance between those two is very important. And then, with excavation, right now we're seeing culturally like some of the most foundational things are somatic psychotherapy. Of course, plant medicines are there if they're wisely used, and that's a tricky area in my opinion. Of course, you have to navigate it very wisely. But there's a lot of that unveiling that's happening right now, where a lot of trauma is being released, and it has to be so that we can see what is real underneath that. So, yeah.
I like what you said. I think that's the biggest lesson from this talk that we had about the fact that we were okay to.
No, I just think like in a good story, there should always be the opportunity for surprises, and like we've had a lot of like bombs dropped on us, like in terms of like you were saying, traumas, and just a lot of shit has happened and it's still happening, and it's like there's not a lot of positives to like look forward to if you concentrate too much on a lot of that. But at the same time, like I said, there's like I feel this cosmic drama has to like get to such a certain point of intensity so that the catharsis is worthy of what we demand as observers of a story, although we're in it. But we know we want to see, like when we watch a movie, if it was a shit drama, you're like, okay, what the hell? That was nothing. So when we sit back at the movie theater of our life, having our own life unfolded to us as a film, you get to see the moments and you're like, yeah, like, and you had no idea while you were in it that you were, yeah, like, and so like the pieces kind of can, I think, fit, and we can all have that moment of like the aha, like, the sigh of relief of that it's all going to be okay, right? Because it's hit a point where it all seems so unreal to me and so insane that I just finally like let my hands go. I'm just like this now. Like whatever happens. I don't have really any like control over the outcome.
Yeah.
At that like control freak level. Thinking that just venting about it is gonna solve it or that I can just change everyone's mind myself. I have to find people like that resonate with the reality that I prefer, you know? And my idea of what you can call it heaven, you can call it paradise, my idea of that, if it's similar to yours, that means we want the same things. Meaning, why don't we just work together? Right? So it sounds simple, but like I've just hit a point where I'm too tired and too, I no longer want to waste that time in communication. And I want to save other people the time as well to find other people that have a reality that is best suited to them.
Yeah.
You know, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. It's just a matter of finding those that we are like really meant to unlock and synchronize with and surprise each other, you know, because that like, I love being surprised, like having a surprise birthday party or a surprise, like it's like such a cool feeling whenever, if you've ever had that, right? It's just like any surprise or someone gets you something you didn't expect, anything or just anything like that. But that's a good surprise. We become afraid of surprises because they've been so, yes. Because they're usually negative. Like every little bit of news that the government announces is something that we didn't ask for and we're getting anyways. So like, why does it have to be this way? Right? We've all had the child experience of like wishful thinking. And now we're adults and it's like, oh, we can make our own, right? But we have these obstacles that basically tell us, no, you're limited in even what you can make. And you have to do it only within this little playpen. And certain things, if you do that, we're going to put you in a cage, even if it doesn't hurt anybody, right? So the parameters are so like off kilter. So I just think as consciousness goes through its different waves of expanding and shrinking and expanding, like I just put it out there that people start to question a little more and start to test their reality and like scratch at its surface a little bit, find the edge and push a little further and ask the question. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask the questions. And if people don't have answers, then maybe we should stop giving them authority.
Words of inspiration to the human family.
Yeah, so I've been having quite an extended diet from news overall, alternative, and of course all news. So my nervous system is quite calm in comparison to what it was a year, 2, 3, 4 ago. So not feeling. Yeah, news diet. So, you know, of course, the questions are like, well, should I not be aware of things and prepare? And yes, of course, have a peripheral eye on it. But there's no need to marinate in alarmism and sensationalism of the alternative. Specifically, I would say even more so now the alternative news cycle. Because there's a pain body within us collectively that just like feeds on more trauma and like more excitation of like, how are they going to screw us over next? And you know, that sort of feeds the ether with more of that same energy. That's one way to see it. And of course, yes, a lot of like interesting, scary stuff is happening, and it may sound fluffy, but where I'm at lately is like, I am aiming to live a more fulfilling life and questioning as to what does that mean for me daily. I am seeing certain patterns come over and over and try to like sink me into the sameness of yesterday, into a Groundhog Day. So that's fully my responsibility. How can I be more happy? What does love mean for me in like the smallest ways, not in some idealized ways, with my partner and like my family and friends? And there's so much to learn there for me. And how can I conduct myself with integrity and authenticity with strangers, which is a game that sometimes is super rewarding and clear, and some other times it's a game of forgetfulness and reactivity. But I feel like I'm getting better and better at it. And something about going back into these basics and the simplicity of it is great for me because I'm getting more of a hold on the creation of my reality, and the Matrix itself does not perturb me as much. And after saying this, I'm probably going to go into some crisis. and I
walk out the door.
Yeah. And also, I just like full disclosure, I did come out of like a dark night of the soul over the last year. So it's like, in a way, I've earned my moments of clarity. But yeah, inspiration, fulfillment, first and foremost. Like, fuck it all. If it ends, who's fearing that? What part of us is fearing? Face that. If it ends, so what? Like, just live it fully. And yeah, what part doesn't want to live fully? What part resists joy? I know that there's a part in me that used to be much stronger. Face that part. It's not them. It's that part in me that's resisting it. So
at the end of the show, would you like to please share with the viewers where they can find you and all of your work?
Yes, I'm not too present anywhere specifically other than here.
So
but I am present on.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly on Instagram if I post once a month or something. So Instagram at Lubomir Arsov. I may start doing more tweets, and I'm inspired to share some thoughts there. So at Lubomir Arsov again on Twitter. And X. Yeah, right. X. Double agent Elon. Yeah. Yeah. No website yet. I will make a website. I need to be represented in the digital space. Yeah, and feel free to watch In Shadow on YouTube.
Yes, I will have all of those.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for also doing this.
Oh, it was awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I wanted to have conversations with males. Right? I think that ultimately the Dragon Warriors, I told this to the girls that we have counterparts. There is a huge shadow to spiritual femininity in the sense of we can't hate men, we hate them. And the idea of, I talk about warrior goddess, it's not about us actually fighting. We're supposed to be ones who like magical arrowheads and do the hope that makes you visible. We're supposed to provide those magical items that's important. Ish and make things happen, but on is this weird sense of competing with each other. For I don't know exactly what, because there is no competition. So that being said, thank you for having this lovely conversation. I hope that this inspires actually women out there, that there are that I think both of you embody that spirit of her, say the Peter calls to her warriors.
So draw the sword.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.